Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there friends, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Here in Daily Dose Radio, our little elevator pitch is 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. That's exactly what we do here on Daily Dose Radio. And we've been doing it now for lots of years. This is our third time through the Psalter. And so today we're looking at Psalm 27 and verses 4, 5, and 6 today. It's our target verses today. Last time we looked at 1, 2, and 3, and I said that this psalm is a lot like, or at least the first part of this psalm, because we have this in two parts. The first part is a lot like Psalm 23. So in Psalm 23, and I mentioned verse 1 yesterday, we had the Lord is, a factual statement about the Lord, his nature, his person. In Psalm 23, it's the Lord is my shepherd. Here it is the Lord is my light and salvation. The Lord is the strength of my life. So we have three different things said about the Lord here in Psalm 27. I failed to mention yesterday about verse 3, because in verse 3 we have the hypothetical, if a host should pitch against me, if war should arise against me. Both of those statements there in verse 3 is very much like verse 4 in Psalm 23. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So David pitches a hypothetical here and in Psalm 23. Though I walk through. See, maybe he's walking through it at the time he writes it, maybe he's not, but he's looking and saying, if that happens, then this is going to happen. I'm not going to be afraid because you're with me, your rod and your staff. Here he says, if a host should pitch against me, if war should arise against me, in this I will trust. And what the this was, go back up to verse 1, and you had my light, salvation, strength of my life. All of that is what he's trusting in. So today we come to verses 4 and 5 and 6. We have a little bit more here in relationship to Psalm 23. Let me read these verses for you. One thing I have asked from the Lord, that will I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to view the delightfulness of the Lord and to draw near his temple. For he hides me in a shelter. In the evil day he will hide me in the hiding place of his tent. On a rock he will exalt me. So now he will lift up my head above my enemies round about me, and I will offer sacrifices in his tent, the sacrifices of joyful shouts. I will sing, and I will rejoice before the Lord. Isn't this just wonderful? I mean, there's so much here. Oh my goodness. So first of all, we have his request in verse 4. We had a request in verse 2, keep me. And then in verse 4, we have one thing I have asked from the Lord, that I will seek. So he's making a request. And the request really is not one thing. It's kind of three things. He says that I may dwell in the house of the Lord. That's number 1. To view the delightfulness of the Lord. That's number 2. And to draw near his temple is number 3. He's seeking those things. But notice how much like this is Psalm 23, verse 6. Remember in Psalm 23, he says, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Well, here we have that I might dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. See, again, shadows of Psalm 23, or maybe Psalm 23 is shadows of Psalm 27. Who knows? But because these are in that order, we'll just say it's shadows of Psalm 23. All the days of my life, the delightfulness of the Lord, to draw near his temple, all those elements are a part here. He hides me in a shelter. So verses 5 and 6 begin this very confident confession of faith. He hides me. He will hide me in the hiding place of his tent. It's going to happen in the evil day. On a rock he will exalt me. It's very much like Psalm 23, verse 5, isn't it? Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. My cup runneth over. He's being exalted by the Lord here. And in Psalm 23, we have a similar statement. And then verse 6, So now he will lift up my head above my enemies round about me, and I will offer sacrifices in his tent, sacrifices of joyful shouts. I will sing, and I will rejoice before the Lord. So we have this beautiful confession about the Lord hearing him, the Lord lifting him up, the Lord saving him from his enemies. And the sacrifice is not a sacrifice of blood in this case, but it's a sacrifice of words, joyful shouts, singing and rejoicing before the Lord. Now, as I said, part 2 is coming, and we'll look at that beginning tomorrow. And part 2 is very different from what we have here in the first part. The warrior's psalm continues as he fights the good fight of faith. Join me tomorrow as we look at verses 7 and 8 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.